Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Anton. So we're back with a brand new video, and I'm going to show you guys how to make a ticket bot in version 12 of Discord.js. So we're first going to create a directory, call it Discord 12 ticket bot. I'm going to go ahead and install. Well, first I'm going to initialize the folder with npm, and then we're going to install Discord.js.env, Sequelize, and MySQL2. So .env is for environment variables. Sequelize and MySQL2 is for the database. And we're not using a command handler for this, but it should be very easy to port this over to a command handler. Anyways, so yeah, obviously we need to install Discord.js because we're using Discord.js. And I'm going to create a bot.js file as well as a .env file. And I'm going to go ahead and get my bot token, and I'm going to store it in a variable in this .env file. And what's next is you want to make sure you have MySQL installed. So make sure you have it installed, and then make sure you have an account set up already. And I'm going to pass in my database credentials for localhost. So the database name is going to be ticket v12. The user is going to be AntonDev, and the database password is going to be mydbtestpw, and then the host is going to be localhost because we're using localhost. And the database host is going to be localhost because we're using localhost. Okay, so let me just do something. Okay, cool. So now that we have our credentials here, we're going to go ahead and first require .env. We're going to call the config function. I'm going to import Discord.js. And I'm going to create a new client instance. And then I'm going to go ahead and listen to the ready event so I know when the bot is online. And then we're going to listen to the message event. And this is going to take in the callback function as well, which is going to be asynchronous because we're going to be using await. And we're also going to need to listen to the message reaction add event. And we should also make this async as well. And I think that should be just fine. And we're going to reference the environment variable stored in the .env file. So process.env bot_token. Okay, so one thing that I will mention is that we need to opt into partials because if the message that we are reacting to is not cached, then partials will allow us to detect when it's cached. So partials, we're going to opt into message and reaction. Okay, and I think that should be it for now. So client on message, we're going to go ahead and set up the command first, the initialization command. So this is going to be an owner only command, the owner of the guild. So we're first going to check to see if the message was sent from a bot. And then we're going to check to see if the channel type is a DM channel. If either one of these conditions are true, we're going to return. We're going to check to see if the command, if the message is equal to setup. And we also want to check to see if the message was sent by the owner. So we're just going to compare message.guild.ownerID to message.author.id. Now, if this is true, then that means we're going to continue. If it's not, then we're not going to do anything, obviously. And what we're going to do next is, actually, you know what? Okay, actually, never mind. We're going to go ahead and use a try catch. Okay. And we're going to basically send 3 messages. So first we're going to do message.channel.send. Please enter the message or the message ID, whoops, for this ticket. So we're expecting there to be a message already that users are going to react to. So you want to make sure you're using this command inside the channel that has the message for users to react to. Because what we're going to do is we're actually going to make sure that the message is actually in the channel. So we're going to go ahead and get the message ID. And I'm going to go ahead and do await message.channel.send, or wait, not send, await messages. We're going to pass in a filter, and we're going to pass in a max of 1 messages. And we're going to go ahead and define the filter function up here. this is going to filter out messages that should not be collected. So we want to make sure inside this filter that we're checking if m.authored.id is equal to message.authored.id. So the same person that invoked the command is the same person that is passing in the message ID. So that's true. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and call .first, because this await messages method returns a collection, and that's why I'm calling .first. I'm wrapping everything inside parentheses, and I'm calling .first. And since that is going to return a message, .first will return the first message in the collection. I just want the content, so I'm going to destructure that. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to want to check to see if the message is actually in the channel. So we're going to go ahead and we'll just fetch the message. So we'll do const fetch message is equal to, we're going to go ahead and do message.channel, channel.messages.fetch. So this is version 12. And we're going to pass in, actually, wait, messages.fetch. I think we can pass in an ID, right? Not sure why the IntelliSense is not picking that up, but it should allow us to pass in an ID. Let me just verify that real quick. Okay, yeah, messages. So we're going to pass in the content, which is going to be the ID. And since fetch returns a promise, we're going to just verify that it returned a value. And if it didn't, we're not going to do anything. So we'll just do console log. Message does not exist. Actually, you know what? We'll leave that for later. The next thing that we want to do is we want to verify we want to ask the user for the category. So this is going to be the category that we're going to create all of the tickets in. So we're going to say, please enter the category ID for this ticket. We can change the message if we want to, but we'll leave it alone for now. So const content. Actually, I can't do that anymore, actually, because let me just call this message ID, because we would have a reference error, because we would have two variables defined as the same name. So I'm just going to do this. Category ID equals await message.channel.await messages. Pass in the same filter. Max is 1 because we only want one message. Call the first method to get the first message, and then call content because first returns a message. And then we want to finally get all the roles. So message.channel.send, please enter all of the roles that have access to tickets. And then we're just going to have them enter in with the role ID separated with commas. So const role IDs equals await message channel.await messages, filter max 1, first, dot content. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and verify that everything is all good. So what I'll do is, I don't want to use any loops. I don't want to prolong this whole video. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and do this category channel. We're going to go through client.channels.gets, .cache.get. We're going to pass in category ID. Okay. And for roles, we can just verify that every single role ID exists. So what we're doing is we're trying to verify that fetch message and category channel exist. Okay. So we'll just do this. If fetch message and category channel, so if both of these are truthy values, that means the message actually exists in the channel and the category channel that we provided, or the ID of the category channel that we provided, actually exists. So that's true. What's next is we're going to go ahead and check the roles. So it's separated by commas. So what we'll do is we'll actually do this dot split. And we're going to separate it by, let's see, comma, spaces, asterisk. Okay. So that will ensure that in case if they type something like, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 4, 2, 3, that would also consider this as valid And I would also consider this as valid as well. Any white space in between. So that's a regular expression right there. So we're going to go ahead and just do... let me change this to roles. And then we're going to go ahead and basically loop through roles. And we want to make sure that each role is valid. So we can do this. Roles dot for each. We can use for each or a just regular for loop. Actually, I'm going to just do this const. I'm going to do for const role ID of roles. And what we're going to do is we're going to check to see if the roles exist inside the guild. So if message.guild.roles.cache.get role ID. So if this is truthy, that means that the role exists. Otherwise, we're just going to throw an error. Role does not exist. And so if anything goes wrong, then we're going to have to start all over again. So it can be tedious, but again, you guys can modify this. Again, I don't want you guys to just follow this strictly. I just want you guys to understand that this is just one implementation. Okay, so if that's good, then we should be good to go. And I think that should be it. So if everything is good, actually, let me do this. This will be a lot cleaner. So if it doesn't exist, we're going to throw an error. Otherwise, if this condition is never true, then everything's good. So, yeah. So if we're inside this part over here, if we're on this line, that means everything has been successfully validated. And from there, what we're going to want to actually do is save everything to the database. So save the ticket configuration. So there's going to be two models. So let me create a new folder. And I'm going to create two files. So we're going to first create ticketconfig.js. And we're going to import Sequelize, or we're going to import two classes from Sequelize. And we're going to export a class called ticketconfig, so that way our other files can use this model. So we're going to extend the model, and then we're going to define a static method called init. And this method is actually going to take in a Sequelize instance, which we're going to create later. And then we're going to invoke the superclasses init method. So that's models init method, because model is the superclass because we're extending it. And that is just a basic concept of inheritance. And for ticket config, we're going to need 4 fields. We're going to need the message ID, because this is going to allow us to keep track of which messages are valid ticket messages. So if they react to it, then we're going to know that they're trying to create a ticket. So the type is going to be a string, and this is going to be a primary key. We're also going to need the guild ID. The type is going to be data type string. Roles is going to be a string. Unfortunately, I don't think Sequelize has array or has support for arrays yet. I know Postgres has support for arrays, so you guys can easily switch to Postgres without needing to change much, because that's the nice thing about Sequelize. You can change anything you want. So like when I say change anything, I meant to say the database driver, and everything should work just fine. But we're also going to store the roles as a string, and then the parent ID as a string as well. We're going to pass another object as a second parameter. The table name is going to be called ticket configs, and then we're going to map the Sequelize value to the Sequelize key. We could just do Sequelize, but since the value variable is the same name as the key, we can just pass in Sequelize like this. Okay. Next, let's create the ticket model. Might as well. And the ticket model is going to be pretty similar to the ticket config, or the structure at least, but we're just going to add a couple more fields. So you can just copy and paste what we already have. So in ticket.js, we're going to get rid of message ID. We're going to get rid of roles and parent ID. And the main difference is that we're going to have ticket ID, and ticket ID is going to be a primary key. This is going to allow us to increment the number of the ticket. Okay, so it's going to start off with 0, I think 1, and then 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be a primary key because we don't want any duplicate records respective to the primary key, respective to ticket ID. We want to save the channel ID. We also want to save the guild ID, which we are doing here. We want a resolved field. So this is going to tell us whether or not the ticket has been resolved or not. So you'll notice that a lot of this stuff is very similar to my previous video or my previous ticket bot video. And we're going to have a close message ID. So this is going to be the message ID that staff is going to react to in order to actually close the ticket. Okay, and then we're going to have author ID, which the type is going to be a string as well. And that should be just it. And for table name, we're going to change it to tickets. Oh, and also we need to change class name to ticket, not ticket config. All right, so we have our model set up. So the next thing that we have to do is obviously set up our database connection. So I'm just going to create a file in the same root directory. Doesn't really matter. And we're going to import Sequelize. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and just do modular exports. We're going to create a new instance of Sequelize, and we're going to reference our environment variables. So we're going to start off with the database name. And then we're going to start off with the database user. And then we're going to start off with the database pass, or following up with database password. And then we're going to pass in an object. We're going to specify the dialect as MySQL. And host will be process.env.dbhost. And you want to make sure that you're importing this file right after you call the config function from .env, so that way all of your environment variables will be loaded, and that these values won't actually be undefined. They'll be these corresponding values over here. So now we're going to go ahead and import the database file. So we'll import that right over here. And we're just going to require it from /database because that is where the file is located. And then we're going to reference db.authenticate. And that is going to return a promise. So we're going to call .then, and inside .then, the callback function, we're going to just say connected to DB. We're going to go ahead and, before we do anything else, let me actually just handle this error. Okay. And let me actually run my bot now, because I know I know we're just writing code. We haven't really run anything yet. So let me actually run the bot. So we're going to use nodemon. You can install it like any other node package. And you can see that right over here, it's giving us an error. The reason why is because we don't have a database called ticket v12. So I'm going to have to log into my database. So I'm going to do MySQL-u, the name of the user. So if you're using the root user, you just type in root-p, because we're logging with a password. So my password is mydbtestpw, so mydb, oh wait, it's -p, and then mydbtestpw. And there you go, we're in our database. So I'm going to go ahead and do create database, and you want to make sure that you're creating the same database name as you have over here for the environment variable. So ticket v12, just want to make sure it matches. Okay. And now we're going to use this database. I'm only using the shell just to show you guys the updated values. Okay, so now if I restart the bot, you can see that we have no error anymore, which is good. Okay, cool. So we're going to have to import our models now, because we need to actually create the table programmatically with Sequelize. We don't want to create the table inside our MySQL shell. So we're going to go ahead and import ticket. Import that from models/ticket, and then const ticket config equals require models/ticket config. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to call the init method that we had declared or defined in our model. So these methods over here, static init. And we're going to pass in the database connection. So DB, right? This is the database connection. This is what it is. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same with ticket config. So you need to make sure you do this with all of your models. So if you ever create new models, you're going to need to do that. And you also need to make sure you're calling the .sync method as well as ticket config.sync. Okay, now if we save, you're going to see that it says create table if not exists. So it's going to create the table tickets if it doesn't exist. So you don't have to worry about it overriding. And it's also going to create the ticket configs table. So if I go over here and if I do show tables, okay, you're going to see that the tables were created. Okay, and if I describe the tickets table, you're going to see that the schema of this database is going to match the model, with the exception of it having 2 other fields created at as well as updated at. Okay, and same thing with ticket configs. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the model, so we can just close those files out. All right, so let's actually add these inputted values to the database. Before doing anything else though, let me just verify everything. So we want to make sure that our logic is correct. And I think that should be it for now. Console log roles. Okay, so if everything is good, we should have no issues. So I'm just going to type a message. Well, let me create a new channel. I'll just call this ticket support. And we'll just say react to create a ticket. Okay, actually, wait. No. Okay, yeah, this is going to be the message, and we're going to do setup. So we're going to copy this ID, paste that in. Okay, it seems like it's throwing an error somewhere, or maybe we're not sending the next message. Let's see. I think we have an issue somewhere. Yeah, it seems like right over here we have an issue. Let me just double check. Okay, so it is logging it correctly, but what's not happening is that it's not sending. Oh, you know what? We probably have an error somewhere. Let me just. I forgot to log the error. Let's try that again. For bot can actually. Okay, so we definitely have an error, and it says content is not defined. Okay, so what is the issue? We're fetching the message from this channel. Oh, wait, I forgot to change the variable name. Whoops, silly me. Because we renamed this from content to message ID, and I forgot to change it over here. Sorry about that. Okay, so let me just copy the ID. Okay, set up. And let's enter the category. So let's create a category, and this is where all of the tickets are going to be created. I know a lot of people kept asking, how can we create a channel and then have it under a certain category? And then all the roles next, we're going to go ahead and create some roles. So let's just say admin, and we'll just do moderator. Let's just find that moderator. Okay, so let me get the IDs. Let me just save that somewhere. And let me get that ID as well. And we have to paste it in, comma separated. So just like this. Okay, so everything seems to be good. No errors were thrown. So now if I go ahead, if I do select from ticket configs, it says empty. Oh, we didn't actually save it. Okay, that's fine. Oh, yeah, I forgot we didn't actually save it. But you can see that the values are correct, so that's good. Okay, good. That's what we want. Awesome. Okay, and we're saving it as an array, so that should be good. Okay. All right, so this is where we're going to interact with the database. So we're going to go ahead and do const ticket config equals await ticket config dot create. Oh, whoops. Create. And we're going to pass in message ID as the property. So that's going to be, what was it again? Message ID. And then we're going to go ahead and I should also throw an error too. Throw an error. Invalid fields. Okay, message ID. Guild ID. Message.guild ID. So that's coming from message.guild ID. Roles. We're going to have to stringify our array because we have the data as a string. So that's just going to be stringify roles. And then parent ID is just going to be category channel.id. Okay, so if everything went well, then it's going to just fine. And let me actually put this else keyword over there. Otherwise, after we exit this part, it's just going to throw an error. Or exit, this part over here. Okay, so if everything goes well, we're just going to say saved config to db. And let's go ahead and try this all over again. So I'm just going to delete, let's see, these values real quick. Okay, so we're going to paste in the message ID, category ID, and it should have said, okay, invalid fields. Okay, enter all the roles. You have access to tickets. Not sure what's going on. Let me check ticket config. So you have message ID. We have guild ID. Maybe our bot doesn't have permissions. Oh, you know what? It might be this JSON.stringify. I have a feeling that might be the issue, but I'm not entirely sure. Let me double check. I wish it shouldn't have said invalid fields though, because if this threw an error, it would have just been caught down over here. Okay, so it seems like it's not even going inside this case over here. It's not printing out yo or the ticket config. So it seems like maybe we have an issue. If we are fetch message in category channel, maybe I entered in something wrong. Let's double check. I really should get a prune message command or something. Set up. So we have the ticket, the message ID. The category is going to be this. And then all the roles we're going to get from over here. Okay, there we go. I think I may have just entered in something incorrectly. Okay. All right, awesome. Okay, cool. And you can see that we have an array, which is saved as a string. So when we fetch ticket configs, we're going to have to parse that as a JSON object. Okay, so we're just going to delete everything from here. And let me just show you guys something real quick. If I do setup, and if I type incorrect values, notice how it says unknown message, so it's going to throw an error. Obviously, we aren't saying anything to the user. So, but I'll let you guys deal with that though. You guys can just send a message down over here. Okay, so save config to db. Okay, and we can go ahead and try this again. Delete from ticket configs. Setup. So message ID, the category, and then let's get the roles again. Save config to db. Okay, cool. And obviously, if we were to create a new ticket model or ticket record, it would throw an error actually, because this is our primary key, remember? So we can't have duplicates. Okay. So I think that should be it for saving. Now, what we should actually do is we actually should add a reaction to that message. Let me do this. Let me do this again. I should have added a reaction. I'm going to use a Unicode emoji. So if everything goes well, then I'm going to go ahead and do await fetch message.react. So let me go ahead and just drop this again. And let me just do setup. I think my bot needs permissions, so let me just make sure I give my bot permissions. Okay, so I'm just going to give it admin permissions as well as, I think you also need to make sure that you set up the channel permissions as well. So for now, I'm just going to give the bot, let's see, add reactions. That should be fine. Let's see, category ID. Okay, so if the actual message did not exist, it would have thrown an error. And let's paste in the roles. There you go, it reacts. Perfect. Exactly what we want. And what I'll do is I'll just create another one over here. Setup. So now watch this. If I do this, category channel. So you can create different categories for different tickets too, which is pretty cool. And let's say if I enter an incorrect number for the role, it's going to say role does not exist. And of course, you can send a message back to the user. All right, so that's pretty much it for this command. We only have one command. So we're going to go ahead and implement the actual creation of the channel and the ticket in the database. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and every single time we receive a reaction, we're just going to compare the emoji's name of the reaction to the Unicode emoji ticket. So obviously, if you use a custom emoji, you're going to just... So if you use a custom emoji, you're going to compare the IDs. If you're using a Unicode emoji, you're going to compare the name. So we're going to do if reaction.emoji.name is equal to our ticket emoji. What we want to do is we want to search the database for the ticket config. So ticket config is equal to await ticket config.find1, where message ID is equal to reaction.message.id. So this is ensuring that the user is reacting to the correct message. So if this is not found, that means there isn't a configuration for that message, obviously. So we'll just do console log, note ticket config found. So if ticket config is truthy, which means that this actually returned a record from the database, we're going to go ahead and continue. And we want to first check to see if the user has a ticket open. So we're going to go ahead and declare a variable called const find ticket. We're going to reference ticket.find1, and we're going to specify an object. So where is the keyword, and we're going to check to see if there's a ticket where the author ID matches user.id, and if resolved is false. So resolved false basically means that there's a ticket that's currently open. Okay, if they have multiple tickets that are all closed, that means they don't actually have a ticket that's open. So if there is at least one ticket where resolved is false, which that means that there's a ticket that is open. So if find ticket is truthy, we're just going to go ahead and do user.send. You already have a ticket. Okay. Else, we're going to actually create the ticket. So from here, we're going to go ahead and do console log creating ticket. And this is where we're going to wrap everything inside a try catch block. So try catch. So inside the try, we're going to go ahead and first get the role IDs. So we already have it already, because we already fetched ticket config. So we're going to do ticket config, get data value, and we're just going to reference roles. So remember, this is a string, so we're going to actually have to parse that as JSON. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and do this. Console log role IDs string. And then we're going to go ahead and do const role IDs equal JSON.parse role IDs string. Okay, so that is going to parse the actual array into a JSON object or a JSON array. And the next thing that we're going to do is we want to go through every single ID that's in this array. And what we're going to do is we're basically going to map this array, and we're basically transfer it to return a new array. Why is this? Oh, it seems like it's not an actual array. Well, I mean, it's not implying that's an array. But what we're going to do is that this should be an array. Let me just validate that real quick before I continue. So we're going to go ahead and react to this message now. So pay attention to the console. It's taking forever. There we go. So, okay, so notice how now you can see that this is the stringified version. This is the actual JSON array. So that's good. That's what we want. Okay, so we're basically going to map all of these role IDs. And we're going to return an object. And the object is going to have the allow keyword, which is going to be allowing the view channel permission. And then it's going to also have the ID. Let me actually change this to ID so I don't have to do role ID, or ID is mapped to role ID. I can just do ID. because this is what we're going to pass in to the when we create the channel. We're going to have to pass these in inside permission overrides. You'll see what you'll see in just a sec. Okay, and since we're returning just an object, we're wrapping inside parentheses. Okay, if I didn't have parentheses, I would have had to put a return right over here, indicating that I'm returning, or sorry, I would have had to did this. I would have had to do return object, because we have curly braces, it's expecting like an actual body of the callback function. But since we're returning an actual object, we can wrap it inside curly braces. Parentheses. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and create the channel. So const channel equals await reaction dot message dot guild dot channels dot create. So in version 12, it's reaction dot message dot guild dot channels dot create. So we're going to name it ticket for now, and then we're going to set the parent to ticket config get data value parent ID. So that's going to set the ID to whatever we saved it as. We're going to go ahead and pass in the permission overrides property. And over here, we are going to first deny view channel for everyone. So to deny for everyone, the everyone role, you would just have to get the guild ID. So reaction.message.guild.id. I should have destructured this earlier, but it's fine. And we're going to allow permissions for the user that created the channel or created the ticket. So that's user.id. So this user object is coming from this parameter up here, which is the user that created the ticket. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to use the spreader operator. Okay. And we're going to spread permissions. So that's going to unpack the whole array, the whole transformed array. So basically, it's just going to take every single element that's inside this array and basically unpack it as if we, as if we actually had it in there. Okay, that's why I wanted to do that up there. Otherwise, we would have to, create the channel and then update the permissions, which is much more work. So this is a lot easier. Okay, so now that we create the channel, the next thing that we're going to do is we're just going to send a message to that channel. So let me actually make sure that, yeah, we gave our bot admin permission, so that should be just fine. Okay, let me see something real quick. So let me go ahead and send a message to the channel. So channel.send react to this message to clone the ticket. Wait, to close the ticket. And then we're going to react to that message with an emoji of our choice. So I can just use lock for now. Okay. And again, like I said, make sure you have all of the permissions configured correctly. And then we're just going to save the value, the ticket to the database now. So ticket.create, author ID is going to be user.id, channel ID is going to be the new created channel, guild ID is going to just be reaction.message.guild.id, resolved by default will obviously be false, and then close message ID will be message.id. Okay, which is this message that we just sent to the channel, because that message is what the staff will use to close the ticket or do whatever they want. If we want to scale our bot to allow it to do transcripts, we would add another reaction to it. Okay, and so once that ticket is saved, the next thing that we want to do is we want to actually update the channel name, because right now by default the name is ticket, but we want to add the actual ticket number. So we're going to just get the ticket ID. So we're referencing ticket dot get value ticket ID, and this is going to return the ticket, and we're going to pad 4 zeros in front of it. So that way, if the ticket number is 1, it's going to add 3 zeros in front of it. Well, the pad start, 4, sorry. Okay, now we can do channel.edit, and then the name is just going to be ticket, and then ticket ID. So that's template syntax right there. And I think that should be it for creating a ticket. So let's actually verify that. So I'm going to go ahead and create a ticket. And I think we got an error. Oh, syntax error over here. Silly mistake. So Okay, so it says missing permissions. So it seems like our bot doesn't have permissions. Seems like, did I give it admin? I gave it admin, so it should just override everything. Oh wait, did I actually give it the role? No, I didn't. Okay, there we go. So see how it so I don't know if you guys saw that, but it did it really quickly. It created the channel and then it changed the channel name and it appended the ticket number. And there you go, react to this message to close the ticket. So we haven't handled the close ticket part obviously, but now if we pay attention to the permissions, you're gonna see that we have admin, moderator, everyone, and myself, so the person that created the ticket. So everyone cannot read messages. Moderator and admin, our staff roles, can actually read the messages. Okay, so that's pretty much it for creating the ticket. Okay, so now let's quickly implement close ticket. So we can see that it creates a ticket successfully. And let's try to create another ticket. And if we try to, it's going to create, it's going to send us a DM, I think. It should. Oh, I have my DMs disabled. Yeah, so it says, you can see that it has an error, cannot send messages to this user. So that's working just fine. Okay, that's working just fine. All right, so now we need to actually close the ticket. So whenever someone in the channel reacts to this message, we're going to go ahead and close the ticket. Now it's up to you if you want to allow the user who created the ticket to actually close it. That's up to you. So all I'm just going to do is inside right over here. So we're going to end else if reaction.emoji name is equal to the lock Unicode emoji. So if that's true, all we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get we're going to fetch the ticket from the database. Well, actually, we need to get the, I think we need the, hold on, select from tickets. We're going to have to fetch the ticket. And to do that, we're going to select based off of the channel ID, which is why we're saving the channel ID. That's why saving all of this data is so useful, and actually using it with a database allows you to scale your ticket bot much more easier. So we're going to go ahead and do const ticket equals await ticket dot find one where, and that's going to be channel ID is equal to reaction dot channel dot ID. And let's see, we also want to make sure, I think that should be fine. Yeah, ticket.find1. Yep, we're searching the ticket. Okay, so this is going to make sure that there's an actual ticket. Okay, and I think that's it for now. I'm not sure if we should check to see if the ticket has been resolved, but I think it should be okay. So if this is true, ticket found, and we can verify if this is working. So inside here, I'm going to react to this. It's taking forever. Okay, it's throwing an error. It's saying cannot read property ID of undefined. And why might that be the case? Well, reaction dot, oh, it's reaction dot message dot channel ID. Sorry about that. Okay, awesome. So it should work. Ticket found, perfect. So if the ticket was not found, so let's say if I reacted with this lock emoji on this message, you're going to see that it doesn't say ticket found. Okay? So I think it does actually, yeah, it still tries to search in the database. Okay, so what's next after that is if the ticket is found, then what we want to do is we want to update some values. We want to first set resolve to true. Seems like for some reason closed message ID was null. Not sure why. Why was that null though? That should have been an actual value though. That is very weird. What did I do? That should have not been null. I'm gonna have to try this again. Alright, let me just delete from tickets. Alright, so let's just delete this channel. So it's gonna create ticket number 2. Okay, so let me just check again. Why is closed message? Oh, did I actually closed message ID. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay. So one thing that I should mention is that even though if you delete tickets from the database, it's still going to continue from the from where it left off. So unless you drop the database and restore everything, then you can't actually decrement the value of your tickets. So that's why it's going to say ticket 002. Okay, so let's see. Did our bot log in? Wait, what did I do? Did I accidentally drop? Oh, wait. Did I dropped the wrong configuration. Oh my god, I dropped the wrong table. That is embarrassing. Okay. Setup. Whoops. I dropped the wrong table. Okay, let's do that. And let's get the role IDs. So there we go. For some reason it creates a ticket after. That's weird. That's it. That actually, wait, why did that create the ticket though? Oh, you know why? Because the bot reacted to the message. That's why. Okay, so obviously, this issue will arrive if you ever have a bot that purposely reacts to that message. But just to be safe, we can actually verify that if user.bot return. So you can just do that. Okay, so we can run through the configuration again. I can't believe I deleted the wrong table by accident. But I mean, it's a good thing I did though, because it helped us discover a new bug. So mistakes sometimes can help you with finding bugs. So let's enter the message ID, enter the channel ID. Okay, so it should not have created the ticket. There you go, perfect. Okay, so now if I select from the database, it should have our roles. Perfect. Okay, so now let's go over here and let's react. So that didn't create. Why not? Cannot. Wait, what? Oh wait, because I didn't actually drop the other table yet. So delete from tickets. Okay, there we go. We dropped the correct table this time. Okay, so there you go. Create ticket number 4. And now we can see that closed message ID is valid. We had the wrong field name originally. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get the message. So const closed message ID is equal to ticket dot get data value closed message ID. Okay, so we're going to get that field. And remember, this is the message that we're going to check if the user reacted to correctly. So we're gonna do if reaction dot message that is equal to close message ID. So if that's true, then what we can do is we can do one or two things. We can actually just remove the permissions from the user who created the ticket, or we can just delete the channel. So I'll just, you know what I'll do is I'll probably just delete the channel. But if you guys want, you guys can just update the permissions. It should be very, very simple. Actually, you know what? Let me see something real quick. I think it may be better to just update the permissions. I need to check the docs real quick on how to do that, because I forgot. I think it should be overwrite permissions. I think that will overwrite everything. We want to update overwrite. And we want to update it for message to author. Okay, good. So we're going to have to get the channel. So that should just be just reaction. Well, let me just do this. Before I do anything else, let me test. So, closing ticket. Okay. Okay. And now let's react. Perfect. There we go. We found the correct record. Okay. So if this is true, we're going to go ahead and do reaction dot message dot channel update overwrite. So it's going to update the overwrite for the author, which is this field right over here. So that's going to be ticket get data value author ID. Yep. And we want to say view this. I think it's what view channel, I think. And for view channel, we're going to set it to false. And I will await this. And I'll just catch any errors happens. No need for the return value. And what should happen next is we should update the database. So I think we could just actually do this ticket dot update, and we can pass in the key. Let me actually Sequelize update. Haven't used Sequelize for a while, so I need to actually double check. But I think we should actually be able to just let's see, reference the value. I think so. Ticket dot resolved is equal to true, and then await ticket dot save, and then we can just say console log updated. Okay, so let's try this again. Updated. Okay, so let's first validate the database. So you can see that before it was 0, now it's 1, and let's validate the permissions. You can see that for myself, notice how read messages is set to off, which means that we can't see the channel anymore. But obviously I'm an administrator, so I can still see the channel. Okay, but let me actually go on my other account real quick. And what I'll do is I'll create a new ticket. Okay, so let's go on here. So we're gonna create a ticket. So we're gonna close it. Notice how I can't see the channel anymore. But the channel still exists because we didn't delete it. So obviously you want to update the permissions, and it will allow admins to review the ticket and then, you know, export everything to a transcript, do whatever they want before they actually delete the channel. Okay, because obviously some people can just, you know, create a ticket, they can spam, and then they can just close it, and you'll never know what actually happened. But then again, you know, you want to be sure that people aren't abusing the system. So updating the permissions will make it so that you can see who's actually abusing it, and you can just, you know, ban them or whatever. Okay, so we can now create a new ticket again. And if I try to create it, it's going to DM me. But now if I close this ticket, it's going to update the permissions. And you can see that, yeah, we have another ticket. And now you can see I still have all of these tickets that actually exist. Okay, but my other account can see this one, but my other account cannot see these other ones. And that is pretty much it. That's all I can think of for this whole ticket system. So I know this video was really long, but hopefully this video made sense. And hopefully you guys were able to make use of this video. And I hope it gets you guys started on actually, you know, expanding on top of it, right? This is just a starting point. It's your guys' job to now scale this ticket bot. Well, when I say scale, what I mean is like expand on top of it and make it scalable. Because technically, you can add more features onto it. Okay, and for those who are using command handlers, this is very, very simple. All you need to do is just make sure you have your command handler set up correctly. That will read this, that will interpret this setup command. And then if you're using an event handler, you just want to make sure that you copy all of this code into your event handler file. It's literally so easy. Like, it shouldn't be super difficult. Yeah, so hopefully this video helped you guys out, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.